Robert, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Is this tax justice the highest level of tax since records began 70 years ago?
I mean, it is difficult, and as Aubrey says, people will be feeling it. And something that the government has done, which is bringing in a lot of that revenue, is freezing income tax thresholds. So it's a sort of sneaky tax that in the next 5 or 6 years will raise tens of billions of pounds of more money. We've also seen taxes go up on companies and on North Sea oil and gas. And yet we look around at our public services and schools are crumbling and you have to wait weeks for a GP appointment. So I really think, whoever takes on the government after the next general election is going to probably have to increase public spending. And then we need to start getting into a debate about who pays taxes. So at the moment, most of our tax is paid by workers and by people buying things. And for example, if you're wealthy or you have your income from wealth, you can pay much lower rates of tax. And so we at Tax Justice UK want to shift the balance of the tax system away from work and towards those with wealth.
OK, what does that mean in practice? Because anybody who earns a high salary will say that they pay almost 50% of it in tax. They're paying more tax, therefore, than anyone who earns a low salary. What do you mean by saying, it's only the rich are paying an infinitesimal proportion of tax? Aren't they paying more than anybody else? What are you talking about and what do you envisage happening?
I mean, that's a very good point, Vanessa. And I think one of the things that we see is that different rich people pay very different amounts of tax. And so if you're, a senior banker and you're out earning lots of money and it's through PAYE, you're probably paying a lot of tax. Whereas if you have your income from stocks or shares or investments, you pay much lower rates of tax. And we saw this when the Prime Minister, when Rishi Sunak published his tax summary, and there was analysis that was showing that his effective tax rate was about the same as an average nurse's. And that's because he gets most of his money, his private income, from investments. And so there are ways in which you can increase taxes on investments, on capital gains, on income from wealth and bring in more money. But I think the IFS, and Aubrey is right, the trend is we are going to be looking at paying more in taxes, probably because we're going to want to invest in public services. And even if, Labour or Conservatives talk about kickstarting growth, that's going to be very difficult without more public investment.